Yeah, so I think there's a couple of really good opportunities, right? So, podcasting, I think, is always great. We have to be careful about what shows we're on, right? As a hotel owner, restaurant owner, we want to be on regional travels based podcasts, people that are talking about destinations to go to. That's really who you're focused on show wise, or who you should be focused on show wise, because that's.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Social Hotelier podcast with me, Sam-Erik. Today, we're going to talk about marketing, basically digital marketing. And I know when I talk about digital marketing for independent hotels, you start to get, oh no, I really, this is a difficult subject for me, but bear with us because I have a great guest and we're going to dig deep into certain things that you will need to pay attention to. And we will talk about some common mistakes and some practical tips. And I think this will half an hour, 45 minutes. We are discussing the topic. I think you will hopefully walk away with some interesting tips how to go about this. So, my guest today is Adam Sinkus. He's the managing partner with the A Purpose Partnership. So, welcome, Adam, and thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me on today. I really appreciate it.
Well, we all have our anecdotes about the struggles in digital marketing, and I have mine, but I will spare that to another time. But I can tell you, I was trying also early on my days, 15 years ago, to have someone who knew very much about Facebook when they did it on their own privately, to assign the person to handle the social media marketing for our hotel. And obviously, not knowing better, we thought that that was enough training, and we know that wasn't really how it works. And I think the whole digital marketing has evolved since those 15 years, and it's something that is so continuously evolving and advancing. So it's important to have an expert and something like a purpose partnership or any marketing agency can help you out. I think it will tell you, it will save you a lot of money, it will save you time, and you probably will see a better result at the end. Because this is a lifeline how you need to approach marketing if you want to create success for your business, whether it's a hotel, restaurant, or any kind of business. But let's start with you, Adam. The audience, first I'd like to know that, can you tell me about your professional background, experience, and why you founded a purpose partnership?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to start with why we founded and when we founded, and then I'll dive into the rest of it because it'll make a whole lot more sense that way. We started a purpose partnership because we saw a huge gap in the way marketing is being done. You get this agency model going on where you get the fancy salesperson in the nice suit shows up to your office. They sell you all the bells and whistles, and then you get this team of juniors that come in and they're expected to do the work. And by no fault of their own, they don't always have the wherewithal to make the transitions and shifts that good marketing is always looking at and requires to really drive effect, right? So we started this because I had experience, my business partner had experience working in marketing agencies, both in the traditional side and PR agencies, and then in the digital side as well. And we saw this huge opportunity going, man, I hate this like salesy, the only time you talk to your account manager is when the bills due type atmosphere. And so we took all of our years of experience in working in home services, restaurants, healthcare, automotive, and brought them together. And we founded a purpose partnership a little over 2 years ago now.
Fantastic. So, since you have both yourself and your partner have a great deal of experience, what specific aspects of digital marketing does your company specialize in, and how do you integrate that into what we call the traditional marketing channels within digital strategies?
Absolutely. Yeah. So we work with a ton of people in a broad variety of industries. Typically, we're working with mid-sized businesses that have some marketing efforts that they've already put in play, And really, the biggest challenge we see coming in the door is that marketing is segmented from sales, from operations, from everything else that's going on in the business, right? And we know that from a perspective of success, we have to have clear marketing, clear messaging from our marketing team that our sales team can use, and that our operations team is continuing to use as the guest experience or as your customers experience your business, right? And so, what we find is that there's a lot of disjointedness there. And then again, in channels too, right? So, traditional channels, PR channels say one thing, your digital channels, because maybe you have somebody a little bit younger that's running all your digital channels, kind of speaks a little bit different language. And when all of that doesn't match up, we get this disjointed feeling of marketing and messaging that your customers start to get confused who you are, what you stand for, and why they should choose you over somebody else in the marketplace.
Yeah. So, so what you mean is that then the company will need to make, or the hotel will need to make from beginning a very clear idea what is their purpose, and also decide really of which kind of customers are they servicing, and in that way, with that brief, you probably will able to give them how to go about this.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was just reading a McKinsey study this morning because I was kind of thinking, well, what's happening in the digital marketing, and what are customers doing? And of course, this is primarily for US, but also happening around the world, and how the customer behavior is changing. And depending if you are looking after trying to reach a very younger audience, where they are going to go to before they decide to make that experience to book a hotel, and also the kind of a senior generation, they have a different approach where they go. But more importantly, what I learned about this, and that maybe you can talk about it, is that people are now uh, trading more or from having possessions, but trading to experiences.
Mhm.
So how does that relate to when you need to plan marketing for a hotel that is saying this is the kind of a couples mid 40s, and you have a nice place that you want them to spend their time with.
Absolutely. I think I love that you talk about experience, right? Because at the foundation of everything we do in business, it's about customer experience. And that starts with our marketing. And when I think about experience messaging, I think about the phrase imagine if, right? So imagine if you're on, a beautiful sandy beach, it's Monday morning, and you're not worried about taking that first conference call of the day, right? Now we've just set this mindset up like, man, I'm going to take a long weekend so I don't have to deal with that Monday morning conference call on the beach. you
Yeah.
if you're working with travel, working with like business travelers, right? It's imagine if you had all the facilities and all the tools to run your next regional business meeting here, right? Wherever that destination is, right? Yeah, we've now created a scenario where they're going, instead of sitting in a stuffy office, we could sit in the hotel that I'm going to stay in, have better views, better food, better this, better that, and overall have a better experience that may foster some different things for our company, right? And so that imagine if statement is really powerful, and we don't have to use that to lead everything, but if we can use that to lead our mindset, it starts to drive that experience thought process.
Yeah. Uh, what is sort of the approach when to integrate traditional marketing channels with digital strategies? Because it is can be quite confusing for a lot of people how to go about it. Could you just talk about that and what hotels should be pay attention to?
Yeah, absolutely. There is a lot to be said for physical flyers still, right? People like tactile things, but people aren't waiting for your hotel flyer in the mail, right? They're waiting for their local roofer to send them something because they need a new roof. That's the type of stuff they're looking for. So when I think about how do we mix the digital with the traditional marketing, methodologies, I look at a couple of things, right? So number one is I always start with digital first because that's where we're going to drive the most traffic. And so, is that social media? Is that online travel publications? What does all of that look like, right? Where do I want to put myself out there? The next thing I'm going to look at is once they get there, once they get to my social pages, my website, what are they going to experience? So now I'm trying to narrow the funnel a little bit, right? So I want them to feel like if they come here, it's going to be an experience that they're looking for. It's not going to be, in the case of a smaller hotel or, single owner hotel, right? It's not going to be it's how can we differentiate ourselves from the Marriotts and the Hiltons and the Holiday Inns and such, right? So that's where on the website and the communications, I have to start narrowing that focus for them and go, what makes us different than just, your standard chain hotel. And then once they show up on your property, we've got yet another opportunity to market to them, right? Is they come to the desk, they check in, maybe you got some flyers for some activities that they can do, either activities you offer or activities that local partners offer. And so now we're getting them involved with what's going on around the hotel so they can enjoy their stay. And then when they leave the hotel, right, that's our last opportunity. And this is where, when they check out, we can attach maybe a coupon, a physical coupon with a coupon code so they can book their next stay to your bill. You slide that under the door or hand it to them at the checkout desk, right? Create that opportunity there. And then also, face to face marketing, right? Everything I'm doing as a customer offering, as a service offering, has to do with, what can I do to get them to want to come back the next time?
Yeah, I mean there's a huge difference, and I think there's an advantage of not being a Marriott. Nothing wrong with Marriott; it's a great company, and Hilton is another great company. But if you're an independent uh, hotelier, or you have your own hotel, and you have the fantastic opportunity to make yourself stand out in a very different way. But let's face it, some of the big brands they all sound a little bit the same, and it's all about the marketing cliches. But you can speak with the authentic voice. How to speak with that authentic voice? What should I do if I want to make myself known by that? My name is Adam, and this is my hotel here in Florida. And why should you stay with me? Kind of attitude. How would I go about all that?
Yeah, so I think number one, it's first of all understanding who you are as a business, right? And so we actually just went through this with our company. We reimagined our mission, vision, value statements so that we have a very clear set of kind of guidelines of what our brand stands for, how we want to represent that online, and what language and graphics and things like that we want to use to represent that. So I think that's number one, right? You got to understand who you are as a company and what you want to put out there. Number two is you have to be super, super consistent with that messaging once you create it, right? You want people to feel like every time they experience something with your brand, it's exactly the same and it's exactly what they expect. People don't like surprises. So when you're kind of all over the place and they're trying to figure out, are they this or are they that? Are they an adventure hotel or a sleepy beachside resort? What are they? They don't want to try and bounce back and forth and figure that out. They want a very clear path there. So we have to be very clear in our messaging. And then I think, the last thing we need to really look at, right, is we need to look at who's coming to your hotel currently. That'll give you a really good clue of who you should be trying to talk to. If you have, 40 something families with teenagers coming to your hotel constantly, consistently, go focus on those families, right? Find out who they are, where they live, where they're coming from. And this is, guerrilla marketing at its best. When you're checking people in, I see her from Pittsburgh. I see her from Detroit. Um, just asking them about their life as you're checking them in gives you clues on who they are, and you just kind of put all that in your memory bank and you start to collect that information, and the data will tell you exactly who to talk to.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that you mentioned about the utilizing like digital channels like social media. Uh, can you share from what you have seen now some common mistakes that small to mid-sized businesses make? And doesn't have to be a hotel because I think they have all have some similarities when they utilize social media.
Absolutely. So number one mistake I see, and especially in the small business, is we've promoted my niece to be our social media manager because she has a really cool Instagram profile, right? And you talk about that at the top of the show a little bit, but it's a reality because that is it's a cheap resource for them, right? It's a lower cost resource, and when you're trying to manage profits and margins and all that stuff, you have to take a look at that. However, just because Susie has a really good Instagram page, personal page, doesn't mean she understands what branding looks like from a larger scale, right? And so, even if you hire her to do your social media, HubSpot has a ton of great courses. Facebook has a ton of great education on how to get better impact for a business. LinkedIn Learning. There's tons of resources out there. Go get them education. Educate your social media manager on what business social media management looks like, right? Because it is different. I think the other thing is, just being consistent, right? It's really easy as business owners to get in the weeds and forget about your own blogs and your own social media channels and go, well, I got all this other stuff that's more direct revenue generation, and I'm going to go deal with that. And so, what we always do with our clients is we set a monthly calendar. So even before the month starts. So right now I'm in the thick of finalizing all my July calendars and starting to plan my August calendars, right? And so being ahead like that allows me to use the tools like Agora Pulse or Sendable or social media scheduling tool, where I don't have to manage that all day every day, right? I go through the exercise. I do it once. I spend my about 6 or 8 hours building a calendar and going through all the revision and setting it all up to post automatically, right? And that allows me to be really consistent throughout the entire month and stay ahead, um, but also, give me time back in my day to go engage with my social media following as well, right? I'm not giving that time up. I'm still going to go into social media, but the key is I'm now going to look at everything that I posted and see where people are commenting and liking, and I'm going to go engage those people. And that's where you get your big return. And that's, I think, the biggest mistake is we put it out there and think field of dreams. If you build it, they will come, right? But in the reality, it is a little more work than that. We have to go engage and build those audiences and make them feel like they're appreciated when they come and comment and tell people about their experiences at your property, things like that.
Yeah, I also, I mean, my tip would be that go and take a LinkedIn Learning course yourself because it also it's very common that you delegate all this to someone else and you don't quite understand what they're doing and you just think that things are sorted out and it is very helpful even just take one or two courses and then get a full grasp of it because then you can also have a very intelligent and informed conversation with your associate who's doing the work, and then they also feel more appreciated that this is actually valuable what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. Now, there are different ways to reach a customer, and obviously one of our favorites with you, Adam, we do podcasts sometimes, and maybe we do videos and so on. How does that fit into an independent business? Uh, do you think that's also a worthwhile to put your foot in the water and give it a try?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of really good opportunities, right? So, podcasting, I think, is always great. We have to be careful about what shows we're on, right? So As a hotel owner, restaurant owner, we want to be on regional travels based podcasts, people that are talking about destinations to go to. That's really who you're focused on is show wise, or who you should be focused on show wise, because that's where your audience is listening to go find their next trip, right? I think another great opportunity is working with your local PBS station, your local radio stations, your local news stations as well, right? And creating opportunities to do special interest pieces about about your property, about your hotel, about what you offer to the community, things like that. And kind of stepping out of the social, but still a big impact to it is getting involved in community events, right? I live in Southwest Florida. We got Fort Myers Beach, and that's lined with hotels. And but one of the things that I see consistently with our hotels there is they are always involved in the beachside community, whether it be giving back at the food bank, whether it be offering events. We host the World Championship Sandcastle competition here every year, and that's a really big deal and brings in a cool crowd. To boat races, to all that kind of stuff. But our hoteliers are involved in those events, heavily involved in those events, whether it be sponsoring, whether it be providing, special food and drink packages, hotel packages, whatever it might look like. But those are kind of my big, I think the big easy ways to get in front of and look at, alternative ways to get in front of your audience.
That's very good tip, Adam. Being community oriented, because nothing is better that they will see the person who is from the hotel, and actually the owner of hotel, when it's an independent hotel, who is a part of that activity. I mean, that's how you create fans of your hotel, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, there are a lot of things that has happened in terms of in the hospitality and hotels. I mean, they've been around for the technology has been around for years, but somehow when the pandemic hit, then suddenly every hotel start to spend money on that to have a digital concierge or self check-in and keyless entries. And so I'm kind of curious to get your reviews on automation hotel. Do you think this is the way of the future, or less human contact? Or is it good or bad?
I think it's a mixed bag, right? So I think it comes down to how you deal with this as a hotelier, and we're going to go back to experience, right?
Yeah.
What type of experience are you trying to build for for your customer, right? If you're trying to build this, seamless, easy experience where they can get into the room quickly, do what they need to do, relax, and get to whether it be business meetings, whatever they're in town for, right? Cool. Drive all that automation, 100%, right? I think there's a lot of value to that, and a lot of especially in the business travel space, which I did for quite a many years. There's a lot of value to. I just want to get to my hotel room because it's Monday. It's Monday night. I've been on an airplane, at an office, and now it's 9 o'clock at night, and I'm finally getting back to my hotel. Right. So. Um, but if you want to provide that boutique experience for people, I say limit your automation and bring back the human. People still want that human experience. I think there's good ways to kind of mix that, right? And I saw this. I stayed at a Sheraton property up in Orlando, one of their vacation club properties, not too long ago, and we had the digital check-in, which we did because I always do that. I'm like, and I can get into my rooms with my phone, don't have to worry about keys, nothing like that. It's very seamless. But I did that digital check-in. About 2 hours later, somebody from their concierge team called me on the phone, said, "Hey, I saw you did your digital check-in. What time are you expected to arrive? Here's the amenities in the room. Do you need anything else?" So even though we had all that automation for the check-in process, they took that time to create that personal experience for me, and made sure I had what I needed. And that I think was a really nice balance of automation with the personal touch.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, this is if somebody takes the time to reach out to you, I mean that you feel that they paid attention that who you are, and yeah, and if they know that you have stayed in similar properties before, they might ask you, well, you need that extra towel that you always like to have whenever you stay in one of our properties. All that is golden, and that just creates even a huger loyalty factor to your hotel.
Yeah, absolutely. For
Yeah,
that, I mean, I pay about 30% more to stay there when we're up in Orlando, just because of that experience, honestly.
yeah, yeah. Well, I have a couple of more questions I want to ask you before we wrap up. And one of the questions I always like to ask all my guests, besides that we have what we have talked about, what other trends do you see happening in hospitality that hoteliers should take note of now? Considering now you are in Florida, in that area where you have a lot of hotels, so you maybe have the finger on the pulse, what's going on there, and maybe some trends that you see might be evolving.
Yeah, I think, I think one of the big ones is people are looking for destinations, right? And this falls in retail, this falls in hotels, and it all kind of works together. What people want from a travel perspective, at least what we're seeing here in Southwest Florida, is people want to be able to come to the hotel. They want to have some shopping, some restaurant experiences at the hotel, where they don't, it's low hanging fruit to for them to go, just walk down to the bar and have dinner and have some drinks and have music and entertainment, right? Um, but on the same token, we're also seeing that building community partnerships so you can offer activities where you can have somebody get them to maybe a boat launch for a sunset boat cruise, or um, you know buses that'll take them, or vans that'll take them to shopping destinations, right? We're seeing that also become an important piece of kind of that overall experience, right? And especially, I see that a lot in like the Naples area, for instance, for us, which is high end retail, high end restaurants, and higher end hotels. We got Marco Island, which is world renowned for its vacation experience down there. And so, I think people are looking for that total destination approach to vacation, right? They're bringing their family, they want to have a little shopping, a little fun, little relaxation, and we have to figure out as a business owner, how do we get them all of that in a reasonable way?
Very good. Okay, my final question is of if people are interested to find out more about uh, your company and the marketing agency activities you do, how can they find you and how can they do so?
Absolutely. They can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I am Adam Sinkus on there, and very easy to find there. Also, you can find us on our website, apurposepartnership.com. And feel free to reach out to me and just put in the connection notes on LinkedIn, social hotelier, and I'll know where you came from. So we can talk about what you need, what you want to know, and go from there.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Social Hotelier Show. Make sure to visit our website, The Social Hotelier Show, blueberry.net, where you can subscribe to the show in Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Play, or via RSS, so you never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we appreciate a rating in Apple Podcast. Or if you simply tell a friend about the show, that will help us out too. Be sure to tune in for our next episode.